Hello and welcome to the Moment Podcast, live from 100.3 KMUL The Mule, or maybe you're watching us on YouTube. Today I am joined by my co-host Michael. Michael, say hi.
Hi.
And we will be listening to the album Kūchū Camp by Fishmans. I could be butchering that name, hopefully not. If you are listening to the radio, just stay tuned as we are about to play the full album right after these sponsorships. But if you are watching on YouTube, you should pause the video right now, go listen to this album, and then come back for our discussion because we cannot play the full album on YouTube. Um, so, again, you are listening to Kūchū Camp by Fishmans on the moment, live from 100.3 KMUL The Mule. We'll see you in a bit. And we are back. Before we get into discussion, per usual, I want to give some context to this album and the artists. So I'll start with the band Fishmans. They are a Japanese band formed in Tokyo in 1987. They're known for blending dub, dream pop, and psychedelic rock into a sound that feels both timeless and otherworldly. Otherworldly for sure. Led by frontman Shinji Sato, their music is filled with warm bass lines, echo drenched guitars, and a kind of emotional depth that made them cult icons long after their active years. Though never achieved mainstream fame during their time, Fishmans have since become a beloved underground legend, especially for their genre defying live performances and deeply atmospheric studio work. Um, so yeah, that's Fishman's, and then the album itself, Kūchū Camp, came out in 1996. It translates to "camp in the air." Captures Fishman's at a creative peak. The album floats between reggae rhythms, airy pop melodies, and experimental soundscapes, creating a dream-like atmosphere that feels weightless and nostalgic. It is often seen as the bridge between their earlier more dub influenced records and their later masterpieces like Long Season. That is one of my favorite projects I've ever heard in my entire life. With its gentle grooves and Shinji Sato's wistful vocals, Kūchū Camp feels like an invitation into a world suspended somewhere between reality and sky. Again, I agree. Michael, first impressions. What you thinking?
I thought this was a fun album. It was fun. It was like vibrant. It's one of those like albums you could play in the car and just drive around.
Oh yeah, it's groovy. It makes me happy and it makes me kind of want to dance. Most
Yeah.
of the songs on there are pretty poppy and just like groovy
Mm-hmm.
instrumentals. Um, but then you kind of have the vocals on top of that, which normally that's not my favorite kind of style, but um, whatever Shinji Sato did, he did it right. And rest in peace, by the way. He did pass away a while back, I'm pretty sure, maybe even before the 2000s. Um, and that is why Fishmans are no longer creating new music, at least to my knowledge. But I do think they still do some kind of like live performance deals, if I'm not wrong. Could be wrong on that, but yeah. First thing I want to touch on is our lead vocalist. He is a very, very interesting man and sounds like a old grandma to me. It is actually insanely impressive how he can hit that, that falsetto that okay, so I learned this recently that it is actually it's a really big thing in Japan. There's a lot of male vocalists that do like this super high pitched like old lady sound. But it really seems like this Sato guy hit that mark. And I'm wondering if that was good for you or maybe a turn off to the album. What do
No,
you
I
think?
I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to too much Fishman's, but I really like this album.
Yeah. I just think it somehow works with kind of whatever they're doing.
Yeah, it does.
I've heard songs by them that aren't as upbeat and playful as this album is, but they still work and almost it feels like they worked better for something a little more dramatic. But for something like this, that's just like, dancey and makes you happy. All those reggae sounds, it is awesome, and I just love his vocals, and I wish I could do something like that, but I don't think I could ever reach the pitches that man is hitting. um, so do you think this album, or I guess better way, what genre would you say this album falls under, if you could pick one?
I don't know.
To some extent, and I know we just said this in the last episode, but it's a little easier to kind of give it that experimental title instead of trying to aim for one specific thing.
Yeah.
Because I can't really pinpoint an exact genre. Now, a lot of people that describe this put it under neo psychedelia is the genre, which I think that's like,
Yeah, I got some psychedelic elements
like
from it.
psychedelic rock, kind
Mhm.
of like, I think that neo kind of is like the experimental silent psychedelic rock. I think that's kind of how I take it, at least, because um you know I don't feel comfortable putting reggae as the genre on
Yeah.
this, even though there's so much like reggae influence in it, which is really cool. I don't hear a lot of other work that has reggae influence, that's not like supposed to be reggae, other than like punk. They have
Yeah.
like that ska influence. I think that's kind of similar. Do you know much about the term dub as a genre? Because I do not, but I'm seeing that as another. Oh, okay.
It's only
another
dub I'm
reggae.
familiar with dubstep, so I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's another. It's a subgenre of reggae. So yeah, I guess it's, that's its heaviest influences, but I don't want to put that title on there. Maybe the only reason I don't think that, though, is because it is these Japanese vocals, rather than a typical reggae artist, usually from Jamaica. Um, so maybe that's what's holding me back from giving it that title. Um, so basically, Long Season. It's this 30-minute like song out live performance album. I don't even know what it is. It's like one song, 30 minutes. And there's hardly any vocals in it at all. If any, if I can remember. And my idea of Fishmans is this just wild instrumentals, and I'm just like really in there for the instrumentals. But I the vocals are a part of who they are. I think I went into this album maybe expecting something I shouldn't. A lot of times when I have certain expectations, like pre expectations for something, and more likely than not, they're gonna be, not what I was expecting, and so that might change my opinions on it. Um, but yeah, so this was I don't know what year, but when it came out, I'm assuming, um, this album listed at number 8 for the 100 greatest Japanese rock albums of all time, by Rolling Stone. I'm curious when that
Rock
was.
album?
Japanese rock.
Japanese
album.
rock, okay.
So I don't know too much other Japanese rock, but do you think it felt like something that could be up there with other, great Japanese rock albums? Was it that good?
I mean, I've listened to a few Japanese rock albums. I wouldn't say it's rock, but I understand why they.
No.
But I understand why they would put it on a list. Like, it is an influential album.
I really wonder, like, with things like this, they mentioned in that blurb at the start, like, how this artist isn't. They never really broke through into the mainstream, and they honestly have more of a cult following now than they probably ever had.
Yeah.
Just from online music fans and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
They're also doing crazy like production stuff that I can't even wrap my head around how they're doing it in '97 or whenever this came out. Like
Yeah.
I can't wrap my head around like half the stuff they're doing. But I I can show you it right now. I want to talk about this because it is personally top 5 album covers of all time for me, and I want your opinions on it. Here, I don't know if you saw it, but this is what it is.
Yeah.
We'll pop it up on the screen. But this album cover is one of the coolest things to me ever, and it's not like for any super specific reason other than that it is so chill. Like
Yeah.
like I just love these dudes looking like they're strolling through the air.
It fits the album so well.
It does.
Like it's like just their
Yes.
expressions, the colors, everything. Yeah.
Dude, I think that's it. I think it's the fact that it complements the actual music
Yeah.
like, perfectly. Like this is how I feel when I hear this. I want to float
Run
in the
down,
air
yeah, jump
and
down the
just,
street.
like, hey, with my boys. Like I don't know, it's awesome. The little graphics at the bottom, like the blur in it. I think everything about this just I think just stylistically too, it just is so cool to me.
It looks like a magazine ad. Like it's got
Yeah.
that style.
And it's like grainy too.
Yeah.
It's very like rough looking. Yeah, I love that. 96, not 97 is when this came out. Yeah, so they have some other albums. Now I'm not gonna attempt to say their names, because half of them I couldn't even figure out. But they have this album called Orange that you can relate to this one probably the most out of any of theirs. And they also continue with that reggae influence, but it seems like a more a less developed version of this album. It feels like they were just figuring out how they were gonna do this sound. This one feels like a full cohesive unit. Now I can't really ask you too much about that since you probably haven't listened.
Yeah, I haven't.
But
I'll have to listen to it though.
yeah, do you think that after listening to this album, as someone who hasn't really heard much Fishmans, would you like be interested in listening more? Do you think this is something that appeals to a lot of people or maybe just a really specific audience?
Yeah, I would definitely listen to more. I think I've listened to Long Season as well.
Long Season.
Yeah. But yeah,
I think that's one that like a lot of people are put on with.
yeah, I think
So
that's
that's how
how
it was. For
that's how I discovered them. Yeah.
That is a lot different than
Yeah.
any of this. That's feels very like dramatic and like it feels like it deserves like a movie or like a short film to like
Compliment it. Yeah.
yeah, and like give it like if it's just it's its own world. I feel like I'm in like a sewer, like a really like surreal like sewer with people living in it when I listen to that one.
Yeah.
This album specifically though, probably because of the cover, but it feels like skipping in the air. Like
Yeah.
it kind of like that last one we listened to, Mount Wittenberg Orca. It's another one that I don't. Well, that one I imagine Bjork skipping to it, kind of doing a little prance. This one I imagine myself skipping to it. Like it makes me want to do a few little jigs. So do you think how would you describe like the textures of this album? I love to hear like how people describe how it made them feel, I would say. I'm like, is there anything specific, any like memories or like scenarios like I was just talking about that you kind of like imagine when you listen to it? Because I think it's harder with an album where I don't know what they're saying
Yeah.
to like do that. And you kind of base it more off the feeling of it rather than,
Yeah.
the lyrics.
I don't know. It felt floaty.
Floaty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those albums where you could like listen to it and it'll cheer you up. Like it's good for like going on a drive, whether it be at night or day. It's just a good album. I need to listen to just more Japanese music in general.
Yeah, I think this is one of those albums that did like pushed me more into getting into that Japanese rock, just Japanese kind of anything.
Yeah.
Because they've got a whole. It's so interesting how like their take on a lot of the music I've heard. So much Japanese rock bands have all these Western influences
Oh, yeah.
that you can pinpoint pretty directly. But then they all it's just their take on it is so different because they just perceive the world differently than
Mhm.
us living in a different place, a different culture. It's so interesting to see how that translates into their work. Do you think you found any other Western influences in this album that other than like I wouldn't even say reggae is a Western influence, but
Yeah.
other than that,
I don't know. I will say it kind of gave me Masayoshi Takanaka vibes.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's cool. Yeah, I would say totally, especially um when they had more like a higher octave guitar, like
Hmm.
a little like stringier guitar on songs. I could totally see where you're coming from with that. And then also, I've been throwing out this word a lot. I feel like I just keep saying it, but I think it's a really good way to describe this. It's there is like this whimsical element that not just on this album and not just by Fishmans, but a lot of Japanese artists kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
just like it just comes out that way.
A lot of like Japanese city pop and like
Yeah.
Japanese jazz fusion albums feel that way too.
Yeah, this definitely felt like a really conceptualized version of Japanese city pop in a way.
Yeah.
We are getting close to running out of time, so I do want to go over our favorite songs as we do and our rating for the album and why. How about you start us off?
I there were a lot of songs that I liked, but I think my favorite was probably Baby Blue.
Yeah.
That I just it was fun to listen to,
That one.
and I
is
found myself dancing to it a little bit
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
it is. It
Yeah.
is such a vibe. I love
Yeah.
it.
I would probably give the album like a 9.
9. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely. I haven't like I've been trying to listen to new music and nothing's really like grabbed me, but like this one did.
Yeah. This one is very grabbing. I feel like after that first song, you kind of just want to hear everything else,
Oh,
see
yeah.
if they can stay consistent, and they do.
Yeah.
Um,
What would
yeah.
you rate it?
So I think I would give this album a 9.5 out of 10. Just because it has me in the whole time. The only thing keeping that from a 10 out of 10 is that one song where I wanted him to be quiet for a second. But that's just a really personal preference. And my favorite song from this album is I do not know what it says before, but it says "nice choice" after, and it has this awesome, like I don't know where he got this sample or video where he got it from, but it has this kid that sounds like he's from some like hood in America growing up. Because he's talking about some kind of ghetto things, robbing and drugs or something. But it's like this start and it kind of like slowly builds. It's just like this kid talking about these bad things he's doing, and it sounds very in the moment, like it came from like some found footage. But it leads into just like another just super happy song, and I think the contrast is like hilarious to me, but also I love it. Like it sounds so cool.
Yeah.
And it's the only one on the album I think with English lyric. Well, no, they with someone other than them speaking
okay.
English. Because I do think like on Baby Blue and Sunny Blue, yeah, they say
I think so.
they
Yeah.
say they yeah because okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but in Japan don't they have to learn English in like growing up?
schools?
Like I think they do.
I
Could
think
be
so.
lying.
I mean, I lived in Japan, but I was too young to go to school. I think they
Whoa,
do.
run it back. What did you just say?
Yeah. I lived in Okinawa.
Oh,
Japan,
is your dad? Was
Yeah,
in
my
the
dad's in the
military?
military. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. No, I think they do because I've noticed a lot of Japanese artists that will just randomly put in some English lyrics here and
Yeah,
there.
there's that Western influence.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um,
There's actually with I think they're called rockabillys. There's a huge rockabilly movement in Japan where
What's
like
that?
they'll dress up as like greasers
yeah,
and like they've got bands and stuff and they'll just dress up like they're from the 50s America. It's
Really?
it's a really cool genre.
that's like the
I think
inspo.
I think it's called rockabilly, like
Yeah, that's what
Japanese
came up.
rockabilly. But yeah, it's just it's super cool. They're also obsessed with the Wild West too, like cowboys and stuff like that. It's just super neat.
I actually did not know that. I'll throw some of these pictures up on screen of these rockabillies in Japan. This is something I've never heard of, but I'm really interested in because it's kind of like a surreal to see, Japanese people like mimicking these really old trends we
Yeah.
had in America, which I think us as like Americans, we kind of find that stuff like, most people don't find it too cool. It's
Yeah.
not something that's super inspiring, at least for me and a lot of the people I know. I think it's more, new gen stuff or
Mm-hmm.
like nostalgia inspo would be more from like 90s, 2000s
Yeah.
rather than like a greaser era or a western era, which is really cool. Yeah. So that was Kūchū Camp by the Fishmans. Hope you guys enjoyed some of our discussion today. Um, Make sure to go listen to some of their other work. Rest in peace, Shinji Sato. Great artist, great band. Next episode, don't know what we'll be playing, but it'll be a good one.
Oh wait, I think we're gonna do Core by Stone Temple Pilots.
Stone Temple Pilots. Core by Stone Temple Pilots. So maybe listen to it before you watch or tune in on the radio on 100.3 KMUL The Mule to check out that album. Yeah, that was it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.